Gradey Dick has struggled immensely to start his NBA career, and his first performance after his demotion to the G League may have made things even worse. So, is there any hope with the player re-finding that potential that saw him selected 13th overall by the Raptors at the 2023 draft? Let's get into it. This is Amateur Hour Sports, the YouTube channel that is completely dedicated to providing you with Toronto Raptors news coverage and videos just like this, as well as live stream watch-alongs and added YouTube shorts. If you enjoyed today's video, then make sure you have hit that like button. It really makes a difference to the channel when you smash that like button, so take a second out of your day to do so. And also, for more Raptors content like this, make sure you are subscribed to the channel, and you can help me on my road to 16,000 subscribers. Once we were 7 or 8 games into the season, Raptors fans, it became apparent that Gradey Dick could do with some time in the G League to get his game right, because he really has struggled out the gate to start his NBA career. So just having an added bit of confidence in going to the G League could make a big difference to his game. Coming into the season, it really felt as though Gradey Dick could be more of an X-factor type of player for this team. The Raptors are coming off of that 41-41 season where they struggled, and one of the key reasons why they struggled was a lack of floor spacing and an overall lack of shooters. Well, what did the Raptors do to try and rectify that? Well, they didn't really do anything in the free agent market, but one area in which they did consider shooting was in the NBA draft. The Raptors had the 13th overall pick, and with that 13th overall pick, they got who clearly was the best shooter going into that draft. The best shooter in the class was Gradey Dick. That's who the Raptors snapped up with that selection, and we thought that, hey, shooting players like these sorts of players that maybe aren't the most athletic, like the jump from college athleticism and pace to the NBA is sometimes underestimated. It's a massive jump, so perhaps we weren't expecting the world of the player out of the gate, but at the very least, we were expecting a good amount of spacing and a good amount of shooting to follow the player, and that is exactly what the Raptors needed. Like, we could sacrifice maybe some of the deficiencies on defense, maybe sacrifice some of the things with the ball handling. We just needed space. We need somebody out there who could knock down shots from the outside. That is very much what we had expected for Gradey Dick. But overall, we weren't drafting Gradey Dick to be that player right away, like an amazing player right away. We had an eye for the future. We just felt as though, hey, this is somebody with a skill set who's also going to be capable of helping us out of the gates. But Gradey Dick really struggled to adjust to the physicality of the NBA, and overall, the shot just has not started to fall. He has not found his range yet in the NBA. It's a little bit of a difference between college three-point lines and NBA three-point lines. Other players maybe haven't struggled as much, but Gradey Dick certainly is struggling. So the Raptors, as a result of the struggles, weren't able to give him a ton of minutes. Darko admittedly did try to give him plenty of minutes, did try to work on the confidence, but it just hasn't really been coming for the player. So it did feel as though the right move for the player and for the team was to put Gradey Dick down with the Raptors 905 just to give him some more additional game time, give him some lesser competition, and for shooting, confidence is such a big thing for these players. Just seeing the ball go through the mesh a few times can do wonders for a guy, especially when you rely so much on rhythm, so much on touch, so much on feel as you do with three-point percentages and three-point numbers. Well, his demotion to the G League did not go as planned, at least for his first game in the G League, where Gradey Dick continued with his struggles. He got a great amount of minutes, 33 minutes for the Raptors 905, where he shot 1 of 12 from the field, and a very unfortunate 0 of 6 from 3. Gradey Dick, when asked about his struggles, mentioned that the three-point line being different is something that he's got to get used to, and he's well aware of the issues that's going on. He has to work through them. So, very difficult start to the season. Really not finding that form early on in the G League. Is there hope for the player? Can we rely on the player to get back to his potential that he showcased in Kansas that made us select him with a lottery pick? Well, absolutely there's hope. Gradey Dick's only 15 games into his NBA career, and it's just one game that he's played in the G League with completely new players on, granted, a Raptors 905 team that sucks. The Raptors 905 have played 7 games this season and so far have won 0 games. They're not a very good team. It's a difficult situation to go into. Gone are the days of the very talented 905 teams ever since Patrick Mutombo left pretty much. Gone are the days of the talented Raptors 905 teams where when players get sent down for development purposes, they're there with a great group of players. Now, honestly, the 905 have had their injury issues this season, but weren't great last year either. So it's a difficult situation to go into. The player's already in a difficult situation himself. It's not quite that conveyor of development sort of players that it used to be for the Raptors, especially in like the 2016 to 2019 range. But regardless, three-point shooting, I mean, Three-point shooting should just be something you have. If you've been a shooter all your life, that is something that absolutely you should have. It's just not quite happening for the player this season. So what are the positives that we can take out of Gradey Dick's performances in the NBA this season to suggest that, yes, we can still refine this form? His decision-making offensively is still very good as far as his shooting goes. Like, he's taking the shots at the right times. He's using his shooting gravity quite well to pump fake, step inside, maybe find a longer two, which those are not really falling either this season. He's shooting 27% from the field, or making a pass. Like, he's still using his shooting gravity. He's still showing the signs of the things that I like going into the draft that makes me think that, hey, if the only thing offensively that really isn't there for the player is his shooting, like, I can seriously trust that somebody who has made their name in basketball their entire life by shooting three-pointers, if that's the only real concern offensively is that he's not hitting threes, I have to have faith that this guy is eventually going to start knocking down those shots. This guy is eventually going to find his range and start knocking down threes at the NBA level with the NBA courts. Like, there's just no way that this guy, out of nowhere, all of a sudden doesn't have his shooting touch anymore. Where there are maybe some bigger areas of concern, specifically for the Raptors right now, is his defense. He has struggled mightily on defense out of the gate, but this is something that was to be expected. Again, really difficult for any player to make the jump from college basketball to NBA in terms of pace and physicality, especially a player like Gradey Dick who relies on neither of those things to be successful. But here's a guy who has shot the hell out of the ball his entire life. Here's a guy who played youth level 3v3 basketball for Team USA at FIBA events. Clearly, his game is beyond just shooting the basketball, so there is reason to have faith in the player. We're not going to count a player out after just 15 NBA games and 1 G League game. Perhaps at the end of the week, after a string of G League performances, we're saying Gradey Dick, he's starting to find his range. Maybe we can talk about him coming back to the NBA. There's also a possibility that he's going to get more NBA time in this week if he's doing some double duty between the Raptors 905 and the Toronto Raptors. I think where the bigger frustrations come for the player are looking at the players we potentially could have had instead of Gradey Dick at this point. My top player going into that 2023 draft was Cason Wallace. Unfortunately, OKC traded up to pick number 10 to select a player. Had they not traded up, he probably would have gone 11 to the Orlando Magic. But at the time of the selection, Gradey Dick was the highest player on my list. He was the best shooter in the draft. He provided a little bit more to me in the game rather than Jordan Hawkins. But unfortunately, Jordan Hawkins has looked amazing out of the gate for the New Orleans Pelicans. A lot of Raptors fans leading into the draft were big fans of Keyonte George. I was a bit lower on the player, but Keyonte George has looked great at the point guard position for the Utah Jazz out the gate. So part of these frustrations and part of the stress is that, well, Gradey Dick's not performing well. Look at these two players in Jordan Hawkins and Keyonte George who could have made a significant difference to our team right out the gate. Why did we not draft them instead of Gradey Dick? Well, you have to remember, as I said earlier on in the video, yes, we thought Gradey Dick could be somebody who helps out the team from the jump, from the start of the season, but we didn't draft Gradey Dick to be the better player of this group after 15 NBA games. We drafted him to have a more successful stint and NBA career for the first years of his career, maybe for a full career. We're drafting Gradey Dick for years and years of service to this team. We're not drafting to be better in the first 15, 16 games. Like, there's so many players who come out amazingly out of the gates as draft picks and then can fall off. Consequently, there's players who struggle out the gates and then really start to pick up as they start to get used to the pace, as they start to get used to the NBA, and perhaps for Gradey Dick, they start to get used to the range associated with those three-point shots. So as far as Gradey Dick, like, this isn't just, protecting my agenda. Like, Gradey Dick was my favorite pick at the time of the selection at 13th overall. I thought that was the best player available. I have no concerns over that. I'm worried about Gradey Dick performing to help this team. Gradey Dick has shown some signs of life in terms of his performances, as I've mentioned. It's just a shot that's got to start falling. And the issue is he's 10 of 41 from 3 in the NBA. He's shooting 24.4% from 3 in the NBA, but these shots are going to start to fall. He's wide open. He has good looks. He's making the right decisions. Once he gets that rhythm, once he gets that tempo, once he finds that range, this is going to be a player that can provide an important role for this team going forward. Darko is a coach who's clearly focused on development. He has an entire roster of coaches alongside him who are completely focused on development. They're going to work with this player. They're going to harness this player to help him get back to those levels he showcased at Kansas. And my prediction at this point would be by the end of the NBA season, we are getting some NBA contributions from Gradey Dick at the very least. Not like maybe some amazing contributions off the bench, but he'll turn into a player. My prediction here is I'm putting myself on the line here with this prediction. Gradey Dick will be contributing to this team on a consistent basis off the bench for the Raptors, and that would be an extremely welcome sight for a team that continues to struggle in the three-point shooting department. Let's give him some more time in the G League. Let's continue to provide him those reps, repetitions, makes. Finding the range is going to be massive for Gradey Dick. Let's see if he can put it together this week for the 905 and get himself back into a regular role for the Toronto Raptors in the NBA. So, what do you made of Gradey Dick's career so far? Do you think it's hopeless? Do you think there is hope? Give me your opinions down below, and make sure you have liked this video if you did enjoy. Subscribe to the channel for more Raptors content like this, and I'll see you again very soon for another video.